Good afternoon, Bulldog Nation. It's Ken Tyler here, your Vice President, Director of Athletics. As we head into the holiday season, we have a really fun and unique story that we wanted to share with all of you today. I think you're going to enjoy it. We're really proud of it here at Barton College. It represents so many things that we're all about, and I'm so appreciative of my guest being here with me today. And before we go any further, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and everybody listen and pay attention. Start here.
JT Deppe, head men's volleyball coach, Barton College.
I'm Luke Deppe. I'm an outside hitter here at Barton College.
I'm Seth Deppe. I'm a senior setter here on the men's volleyball team at Barton College.
And I'm Lisa Deppe, the most important Deppe in this room, and mom to these three boys.
Yes, absolutely. So the cat is out of the bag. There's the secret, and we believe, the only NCAA sport in the country, and we're going to verify this, but we believe we're the only NCAA sport in the country where we have a head coach coaching two of his siblings. And we are very grateful to Lisa and her family for bringing the Deppe boys from Wisconsin to North Carolina. And I'd kind of like to start there, Lisa, if you would. Maybe
Sure.
A little bit about how these guys grew up in Wisconsin around the sport of men's volleyball, and how, then we'll shift to JT maybe, how you made your way down here to North Carolina.
So it really starts with her dad, who played volleyball in college. He played for the University of Hawaii. That's
Yeah.
where he and I met. I ran cross country, the most important sport in all of athletics.
Yeah.
And we met there, and then as the boys grew up, we grew up in Wisconsin, which is a very much, the big three: football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
So the boys got into that, and Tom really never pushed them in the direction of volleyball, and they kind of found it. And JT was the first. He played freshman year in high school in football, and then sophomore year said, maybe I'll give that volleyball a try. And from there, he went on to play collegiately for King University.
Yep, in our conference, yeah.
Yeah, and then, the little brothers followed the lead of the big brother. And so they got involved, and as we were looking at schools, we were introduced to Conference Carolinas through JT.
Right.
And then as the other boys were growing up and were deciding where would they like to go, North Carolina is a real great fit for us. I have a sister who lives in Nags Head. Geographically, Wilson really reminds me of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
It's friendly, it's warm, it looks the same, it doesn't snow as much, it's not as cold. It's really a great spot. And so Seth, this was his number one choice. And we came and he loved it, and here we are with Seth. And then Luke, I think it was another really easy choice. Like, well, if that's where Seth's gonna go, I think that's where I'd like to be.
Love it. And a little bit different dynamic though, because if I have my math right, you chose Barton before JT was here.
I like to call myself the original one.
That's
So,
right.
I was
You're
here
the
all
true
along.
trainer. Yes. I like how that's piecing together there for sure. So, and as they were growing up, what's the age difference here?
4 years and then 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were they always close?
Yeah, yes, they were always close. It's a big, a 4-year gap with siblings. It's different, right? He's a little bit ahead with everything, right?
Yeah.
He starts out and it just was, you're the big brother. So it was a little different, with that larger gap. And then, the two little underlings, the minions running around at his ankles. But yeah, always close.
Right.
We have a really, I attribute it to my mom and dad. We just have a really great family.
Yeah.
We do a lot together. We live near one another. Not anymore.
Yeah.
But it's nice to visit. I think it is, from my perspective as a parent, when your kids leave home and go off into the world, whether it's work or college or whatever it happens to be, it's a really emotional time, right?
Yeah.
Your family dynamic changes.
Yep.
For Tom and I, this is a real treat because we get to kind of clump together for a little bit longer than most. And so that is wonderful. So from our perspective, it's just great. Like we got, an extra 4 or 6 years
Yeah.
with these guys. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I love that. As a parent of two young people who are 26 and 23, and they both kind of went their own ways. And what you're saying resonates. It's important. You know, getting them together is rare and harder
Right.
as everybody gets busy and does their own thing and grows up as they should. So we're glad, so glad that is at Barton College and,
Right.
and here in Wilson. That's absolutely terrific. Well, JT, how about we shift over to you? Because as much, and I think, you know, Seth and JT maybe simultaneously, you were a terrific player at King College, conference champion, all conference type of player. But I think I remember after you completed your college career, you weren't necessarily looking to get into coaching. You were working for the Green Bay Packers.
I was.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that journey and how you ended up here at Barton.
Yeah, so I ended up playing 5 years of collegiate volleyball at King University. Played 5 years, not because I wanted to be in college longer, but because COVID was my junior year, so I had the opportunity to get a master's in business administration at a relatively low rate. Thought, play while you're young. I've always been fascinated with sports. When I was in elementary school started at 8:30. I'd wake up at 6:30 to watch SportsCenter twice before I could get into the building. So always had a fascination with sports, and I knew that in my undergrad degree, our father has his own personal finance firm that he runs, and so in my undergrad, I got that in business finance because it's always something I felt I could come back to. But when I got out of college, I wanted to explore the sports world and get into the dynamic of seeing where that could take me. So graduated, got a job with the Green Bay Packers. Super stoked about it. Wisconsin kid growing up there. Went to Lambeau Field for work every day.
Yeah.
Dream come true. And I really didn't think that that was something that would end so suddenly in the way that it did. I still love the sport. I spent all my summers coaching volleyball. I was a director of the beach volleyball club up in the Milwaukee area. And then I was an assistant high school coach at a high school in the Green Bay area. But I was working the late November, probably before Thanksgiving, I was working the Green Bay Packers little holiday get together. They had a bunch of people in the community, decorate cookies, tree lighting, all that sort of stuff. And then got done working like a 13, 14-hour day, and I got a call from my younger brother asking, "Do you like your job?" And in my eyes, I was listening, a kid that's also interested in sports, studying sports management. Maybe it's something to where, yes, he's only a sophomore, maybe he's trying to get his resume ready to go and build to come into the world, because it's a competitive market. Getting a job in a professional sporting organization, not the easiest thing. And so called me, and then I gave him probably like a 20-minute rambling of, yeah, I do, like it's a really cool thing. It's I think it's something that you're probably interested in. And he ended the call with, our coach just resigned, and a lot of the guys on the team think you'd be a great fit and apply for it. So I've always had a passion for helping others, and I think coaching is a great way to do it. All my recruiting calls, I tell the guys that when I was growing up, I had some great coaches that taught their sport really well and were a great role model for me, and kind of paved the way for me to continue to build my career in both playing and post-playing around athletics. So it's something where that happened, and he could probably touch on that a little more, but submitted my email to the previous athletic director, sent him my resume application, sent him a 10-page document on the current players and how I think I could make them work a little bit better. And then was fortunate enough to get the opportunity and got down here January 3rd, 2023, 7 days before the first match, and been loving it ever since.
What a whirlwind story, and we're so glad that you're here. And it is funny how things work out. For sure, things tend to happen for a reason. But again, I want to make sure that we highlight the role that you played in all of this. You were familiar with Conference Carolinas because JT had played at King, but how did you come to choose Barton College specifically?
Yeah, like my mom said, it was like my first option based off just like recruiting wise and things like that. So like we said, we have family down here. I have a cousin, same age as me. We're 2 weeks apart. We're really close. He goes to school in William Peace in Raleigh right now, and we just like kind of wanted to go to school close by as well. And I thought it would be really cool. Like, oh, I have family down here. I've heard good things about this school based on past years for men's volleyball. And it's just like all the pieces really fit. And I just decided like this is where I want to be. I also like a part of me like I didn't want to stay in Wisconsin, not because I didn't like Wisconsin, but I thought like I want to go out, I want to see something, I want to go to a different place. And this is kind of where I ended up, and no regrets.
So I'm learning now there's a little bit of a Wisconsin and maybe Deppe broadly, Deppe family mafia in North Carolina. I like that. But when you made that call to JT, you know, in the back of your mind, you were thinking, my older brother might be my head coach.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that thought process.
So, coach resigned in this very room, and like an hour later, not even an hour later, probably a half hour, I'm out in that hallway out
I
there.
remember
I'm
that.
talking to a couple of my teammates. I'm like, I'm gonna call my brother. So I call him like he said, and I go, oh, we need a coach. Like I really said, yeah, coach was like, you interested? And he was like, oh yeah. Like, well, like at first, like I don't know, like it was like kind of a funny thing to say because it was kind of like out of nowhere. But I was like, no, I'm like, yeah, it'd be pretty cool to have you down here and things like that. And then, pretty much after that, like we ended up through all the interviewing thing. We had JT was really the only candidate because we're halfway through our season. Our season's starting really soon. Like we need to get a guy here.
Yep.
And pretty much like the big thing like that I said about JT is like this guy knew a lot about our conference, and there's not going to be a lot of coaches that know one, men's volleyball, and two, men's volleyball in Conference Carolinas. And this guy played there 5 years at a high level, conference championship, things like you said. And then I just like remember a funny story. Like he had his little interview meeting in there where like players could go and ask him questions, and I was a little bit late because I had class. And I just remember like walking in and like late and just be like, oh, what's up, bro? Sit down, things like that. But no, yeah, like once we needed a guy, and I was like, I knew JT like eventually would become like he was like a player coach when he played. Like he just had the IQ and things like that. So I knew eventually like he was going to end up coaching some way or another. So once I made that call, I didn't know that this was going to be our future now.
Yeah.
How it all worked out, so it was really cool.
That's a great story. And Luke, you're obviously a little different scenario. You know, you were now. I bet that was interesting. You know, the obvious, not obvious, but maybe the easy path would be, well, I'm going to come down and join my brothers. But I'm sure there was part of you said maybe I want to carve my own path or do something a little bit differently. Tell me about how you ended up at Barton.
Definitely. So I actually talked to the old coach. I was initially recruited my junior year of high school. I came down for a visit, and I was like, oh, I love this place. You know, it's in 7th year, and you know, me and the teammates are like, oh, this is my #1 option. But obviously, you know, you gotta reach out, make sure you have options. So I started like Mount Olive and other schools in the conference, but Barton was my #1 choice. And then I hear, oh, no more coach. That's a problem. And then my mom started talking like, oh, JT is about to get this job. And he's talking, I was like, oh, easy, going here. But yeah, I'm so happy with the choice I made, you know, being with them.
That's good stuff. I mean, I'm sensing certainly a common theme of actually embracing the notion that your older brother was going to be your head coach. There was never any like, oh my God, that's going to be weird, or I'm worried about playing for my older brother, or is it going to be harder on me, or easier? You know, did you guys ever think about that?
There's definitely a learning curve.
I want to talk about what it actually is, but as that transition was occurring, what was going on in your mind?
Yeah, I've never really had a problem listening to JT. Even like when I was in high school, you'd come back and you'd like coach us and things like that, and I would listen to him. This guy over here, man, he was a little bit like, when JT told him something, he became a little he bumped heads a little bit.
The youngest child, you always gotta fight that. But yeah,
He's been reading some psychology.
It was, I wouldn't say it was hard, but like it definitely took a little bit to be like, oh, this is my coach first, and then they're like, brother first, but like on the court, it's coach first, then brother.
It's always like the biggest question of like my friends, his friends, like everybody, every time we see like family and friends at like holidays, things like that, like they're always like, so what's it like listening to your brother as a coach? Do you like, you guys fight a lot? And it's like, no, it's really not that bad. Like he says something, I listen, I do what he tells me, things like that. But yeah, no.
Lisa, you intimated earlier how special it was to have them all here. When Luke decided to come to Barton, then it worked out that way, and that they were all three going to be here. how did that make you and Tom feel?
Oh, proud. Yeah, we're proud of these kids. They're maybe a little lazy, but otherwise just really hard workers. They've got their head on straight. They care, you know. I think there was a little concern, like, what's it gonna be like having, you know, big brother as a coach? Not so much for Seth, maybe a little bit more for Luke, just because, I mean, he's the young one, right?
Yeah,
Blazing his own
we
trail,
learned.
but it makes us enormously proud. And I would say, I wish Tom was here, because, you know, I'm a fan of volleyball, right? Tom, it is, as much as it is in the blood of these guys, it's in his. He's the one who sort of started this, and I think I know he's enormously proud of what each one of these guys is doing.
Yeah.
And still has, you know, after every match, you know, if there was a TV, when we're not here, Tom is shared from that TV, and as soon as the match is over, you know, let me give you an idea. Hey, maybe you should be like, you know, coaching. It's like it's just something that.
So we have a volunteer assistant coach.
Yes, right, remotely.
I'm glad to hear it for sure. So how about this, guys? What do you call them?
JT, yeah.
I think eventually it'll go away. A lot of people call him JT. The freshmen this year, you'll hear coach and things like that. Some of the sophomores as well. But once I think like he's gone, I think he'll be coach.
Yeah.
But
how's that flowing for you?
I think that I was very straight with him. Like, you guys can call me JT, call me coach, whatever's comfortable with you. I think my first year when I got here, I was 23 years old, and so the majority of the team that was a part of the nucleus, I guess all of them I competed against.
Yeah.
So it's something to where like they knew me as Seth's brother, JT, they didn't know me as coach. It was something to where I'm cool with that title. I think that coach is a term of respect. I also think them calling by my name and making sure that, hey, like, we're on an equal playing field here. Like, all we do is, I don't care what you call me as long as there's respect that goes both ways.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very similar to what they said, is that I feel like as I get older and it shifts on, the people get more comfortable or the dialogue will become more so coach, but I'm good with my name. I've been told that for my whole life.
Yeah.
And it's something to where they might not call me coach, but I know the respect's there, and that's something that's really important. It's not too often that you get a group of, when I got here, 2 people on the team were older than me. So coaching people that are older than you, coaching people that are the same age as you, a couple of years younger. It's more so, I feel like when you get to like the role model aspect, I do carry myself in the way that I want myself to be a good representation for the guys. But I think that it's similar to the theme of this, the brotherhood and family. That's what our program is going to be, and so I don't think I'm quite old enough to be a father figure to them yet, but I think I can be a pretty good big brother. So being able to be on that same level as that is pretty cool.
That's a terrific way to phrase it, terrific analogy, and someone who coached a long time, you're definitely that. Oh, so I have to ask, I watch practice and workout sometimes. I see you out there mixing it up. Who's the best player? Who's got the best game now? Yeah.
So if you ask my dad that question, he says that I got best hands, he has the best shoulder, and he has the best platform. But then my dad will say it's because he got all 3. So that's how my dad compares it.
Yeah.
But no, volleyball is a little weird because it's all like really different.
Yeah, skill sets.
Yeah, you have to be good like all around are really good players, but there's a couple things like these guys can like pass and serve receive. I can't do that. I'm pretty bad at that. But they're pretty good at that. But I don't know. I think we all at one point in time it was probably we could get a good arguments about it. Especially this guy right here. Saying he could like serve better and things like that. But I think we're pretty equal.
Yeah, good diplomatic answer. You shut your hand up. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, fair enough. I believe it too. Well, you know, as we wrap things up here a little bit, you talked earlier about, you know, this is kind of the last go round. You guys are all together. I'd like to hear just briefly each of you and maybe you too, Lisa, give your perspective on what that truly means. And if you sit back and think about it when you are your parents' age, what this experience will have meant to you. Seth, you want to start?
Like we kind of talked about, no one else has ever done this before.
Yeah.
So kind of just treat it that way. Like, this is awesome, this is great. Like, going to practice, going to games, all this stuff every day, it's like we're back to living under the same house with her and things like that. But no, yeah, just appreciating every moment of it, and just like, it'll be a cool thing to tell my family in the future and things like that. Like, yeah, well, when I was back in college, my older brother coached me.
Yeah.
Younger brother also there.
Play
So
with your own.
yeah.
Uncle.
Yeah, I guess.
Uncle.
So
What are your thoughts?
I just want to see my family succeed, and if I can be a part of that, that's what really matters. Whether it's winning a ring, help them do that, obviously. But for him, all conference coach of the year, if I can be a part of that, that would mean so much, and to our family.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Coach JT, what do you think?
Of looking at it in the bigger picture, and we mentioned earlier the age difference. I'm 4 years older than Seth, 6 years older than me. So when I graduated high school, he was going to be a freshman in high school, and he was just starting middle school. And I went to school in Tennessee at King University, and so I was down there for the majority of the year. And so pretty critical years of their life going through high school. I got to, by the time I was done playing my career, he was a senior in high school, so I got to catch that a little bit. But some pretty critical years in your life where you probably need a big brother. And we had a good little relationship, check in from time to time, but I wasn't physically there. It's a very difficult thing. So I thought that something that would be pretty cool in another stage of their life, very critical portion, 18 to 22, have a pretty positive effect on trying to shape them and shift them into the right direction. Not that they couldn't have done that without themselves, but something to where I felt that would be something that would be really cool. Because like I said, that big age after 5 years of playing college, he went through his whole high school life without me being around very often. He went through his whole high school and middle school without me being there very often. So I thought it was a really cool opportunity for me to go out and have a positive effect on their lives and shape them and try to get them ready for the real world and be the best big brother that I really could be. So this is the last go around for that. I obviously won a conference championship. I have my conference ring in my office. My cousin Jackson is like a brother to us. He won at King in 2023. I think the next step is getting these two, one of them, and get them here and being able to celebrate and really just enjoying the last drive and being able to look at their college experience back on that fondly. Seth's freshman year, before I was here, wasn't a very successful year by any means, but it's something to where if I can have a positive effect not only on these lives, but shaping all of the guys' lives, it's a really, really important thing. And coaching is a really unique thing because each group every year is going to be different. Very rarely do you return the whole roster and not bring anybody else new in and collegiate athletics. So I think it's a really cool opportunity to have a positive effect on their lives and be together in the same area for maybe the last time in our entire lives, which is a really scary thing to say, but a really cool thing and really embrace it day by day.
To wrap up, I'm struck as the athletic director how fortunate we are to have a leader like you, JT, on our staff, leading our men's volleyball program, and how fortunate we are to have this unbelievably unique and special connection with the Deppe family. And I want to thank all of you for sharing with us here this afternoon, but also want to thank you for giving all that you've given to Barton College and men's volleyball and the college as a whole. And please know that we recognize it, we appreciate it. We look forward to supporting and rooting for you guys this season, this sort of last go-around with the three Deppe boys all together here at Barton. But as your mom just so eloquently stated, you're always going to be, of course, brothers, but you're always going to be part of the Barton Bulldog family. So with that, I will say Barton is a special place for many, many reasons, but among them is that we are the only NCAA institution with a head coach who is coaching two of his brothers. They have left a strong legacy, established a strong legacy here with Barton men's volleyball, and we look forward to seeing that continue. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us. Thank you guys again for joining us. As we always like to say, it's a great day to be a Bulldog. Thank you. Bye.